Welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Laurie, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Laurie LeBay, and I'm thrilled you're here to join us today. If you liked our opening music, it's called Clarion Call by the Mark Arneson Band, a local band here in Minnesota, and you can pick that up on any of your favorite music platforms. If you're new to our show, Alzheimer Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. We like to have real conversations with real people, and that's exactly what we're going to do today when we're talking about incontinence and dignity. But before I introduce our guests, I always like to give a few shout outs. So first, I want to mention a couple of support groups that I offer. Arthur's Senior Care sponsors Arthur's Memory Cafe, and we do that twice a month, the second and fourth Wednesday online. So that is virtual at 1 o'clock Central Time. And then Brookdale North Oak sponsors the Caregiver Connect, where we typically meet in person. And you can get information by going to alzheimerspeaks.com for more information there. Also want to give a shout out to our friends on April 6th. The film they have worked so hard to put together called Determined Fighting Alzheimer's is going to air on PBS on April 6th. So check out your calendar for that. And then on April 7th and 8th, I am thrilled to be invited down to the Winona Dementia Friendly Community Week. They're doing a full week of education and engagement, and I'm going to be doing 2 showings of A Timeless Love. This is free, and again, you are welcome to attend that, as well as Artist Senior Living is sponsoring a virtual program I'm going to do, which will be Wednesday, the 20th of April, called As the Cookie Crumbles. And there I'll be talking about some of my own personal journeys and what kept me sane and what worked and what didn't. So lots of tips and tricks for you there. And of course, Maud's Awards is open until May 16th. So you want to get your application in. That is for a $5,000 award for individuals or up to $25,000 for an organization. And that's for something you've done, not something that you have to do. And then, of course, I have to shout out to dementiamap.com. We've got over 150 different categories you can search, a blog, a glossary, and so much more. And don't forget that events calendar out there as well. We are going to hear from the foot bar walker, and then we're going to be right back.
I love the foot bar walker, and let me tell you why. It is the option for my toolbox that I've been waiting for. Let's be honest, there are some clients who, despite our best rehab efforts, just aren't able to return to performing a sit-to-stand transfer on their own. Now I can offer my caregivers an easier, safer option that doesn't involve hoisting their loved one up from a sitting position. I don't recommend this walker for all of my clients, but I do recommend this walker for those caregivers looking for an easier, safer option with transfers. I would also encourage other therapists to add this walker to their toolbox. It's kind of like having my own mobile parallel bars for the client to pull up on. Whether it's a family caregiver at home helping a loved one with Parkinson's or dementia, CNAs in a long-term care facility assisting their patients, or therapists adapting to client and caregiver-specific needs, we now have a very safe and effective option to offer in the foot bar walker. Check this product out at thefootbarwalker.com. That's it for today from Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner. Have a great day, and don't forget, if you can't do it, adapt it.
Okay, it's time to introduce you to our guests. Again, we are going to be talking with Seni and Right at Home to address incontinence and preserving dignity. This is actually part 2 of a 4-part series. Deanna Vigliotta is the national sales manager for Seni, which is a premium adult incontinence product. And she has had extensive background for over 30 years in healthcare as sales management. She joined Seni back in 2019 to help them expand their U.S. market by educating people along with, senior communities and home care agencies so that people can understand the importance of having a high quality product that is breathable. Second, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Laurie Gredlein. She has been working in the healthcare industry and senior field for over 15 years, and she is Seni's account executive in the Northeast region, and she resides up in New Jersey. Next, I'm going to introduce you two individuals from Right at Home. So Nikki Magyar started Right at Home in Orlando, which is in-home care and assistance, about 7 years ago, because she believes that seniors and disabled adults deserve the very best. Her family and husband's family have had personal experience for caring with loved ones at home with both dementia and Parkinson's. And then last joining us is going to be Beth Sholom. And she is the owner of Right at Home of Central New Jersey and has been such for about 2 decades. Prior to owning her business, she practiced law as an elder care attorney, advocating for seniors and adults with special needs. Beth's passion is to serve the senior community as she would care for her own family. And she believes this with all her heart, and she lives and braves that passion every day. Well, ladies, I'm so excited to have you all with us today. I just think this is such a passion project that Seni has rolled out, this whole incontinence and preserving dignity. And I've just found it fascinating. And even though I've been in the industry a long time, there's so much to learn all the time from everybody. So thank you for taking the time to be with us. This is part 2 of part 4. And before we get into our line of questions, I always like to ask my audience or my guests if they have been personally touched by dementia in their own family. And so, Deanna, you want to go ahead and take that first?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks for having us here today, Laurie. I've been personally touched with an aunt on my dad's side who unfortunately passed from Alzheimer's disease.
Okay, great. And Laurie, how about you?
Yes, ma'am. So my grandmother had dementia, and she had to move in with my dad and my stepmom, and they were the caretakers for about 6 years before she passed.
Okay. Beth, how about you?
I wouldn't say that I personally had someone in my family affected by dementia, but I grew up with my mother working at a nursing home for over 35 years. So it's just been part of my world and what led me into doing what I do today, that I've been surrounded by people with dementia my entire life.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And Nikki, how about you?
Yes, actually, it's part of what led us into this industry in general. So my husband's grandmother aged in place at my in-laws' home, and we helped them to be able to do that.
Okay. So statistically, we're kind of on the norm here, for how many people have been touched by dementia. Sad to say, Beth, it's probably coming to your home soon, sooner than you think in terms of your own family and friends. So that's one of the reasons this is so important, to have these comfortable conversations where people can really get some quality answers and real life examples and stories to be able to cope with, if it's dementia, if it's incontinence, all of those things are just so critical. But incontinence hits so many people at so many different ages too. So, this isn't just limited to us. So audience, when you're listening, think about that. Share this with other people outside the dementia circle as well, because there's a lot of people that need help in all different levels, in all different ways. And this is you're going to learn a lot today, because I know I did in part 1, and I know I'm going to again in part 2. So Deanna, let's start with you. This is the second of the 4-part series, which I thought was really a neat approach to take. You don't normally talk to people who are excited about incontinence. And that's one of the things I loved about you from day one. You were like, I am out to change the world on how they look at this and how they deal with this and how they can live fully with Incontinence. So tell our audience, how did the program come to be?
So thank you, Laurie. So the program came to be from, I think, right around pre-pandemic, when articles started coming out, people started talking, the world was shutting down. Our company, we have a terrific team in place at Seni, and we put our heads together and thought about, gee, there are lots of things that we can't do during the pandemic. People in skilled health, assisted living, places that we typically call on, those folks had a lot of pressure, stress just to navigate the day. What we did think about was what can we do? And one of the things that we came up with was, a lot more people want to age in place, healthier, happier, longer at home. How about we started having some conversations with home care agencies to see if a program would make sense. And true story, Nikki and I have known each other for a number of years, and we belong to a couple of different networking groups in Orlando. And I said, hey, Nikki, can we talk for a minute? What do you think? Because we wanted to get some real feedback before we started evolving it. And she was instrumental in helping us evolve the program to what it is today. So I always say I'm extremely grateful for that. But it was a program that talked about how do we just help people in their homes stay there longer. And then through the insight and feedback from our team members and outside sources, the program has just evolved to a terrific point in time.
Wonderful. Laurie, anything that you want to add?
I was just thinking of me meeting Beth for the first time and talking to her about her right at home office here in Jersey, and similar kind of response. It was, how come we haven't heard of this sooner, and how exciting this is going to be for us to start doing this and take care of our clients and keep them home longer. And it's a win-win for everybody when you look at it.
It really is a cutting edge program. And sometimes I have to sit back and laugh as programs roll out going, this is not a new issue. And it's like, thank God there's people like you guys that, put your heads together and go, we can do better. Let's just do better. Let's just make this happen. We don't have to keep circling the same pony path everyone else is, in terms of care. We can raise it a notch or 5, in terms of service there. Laurie, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about Seni products and how they're different from other products that are on the market?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Seni comes from a parent company called TZMO, and they're based out of Poland. And we have manufacturing plants over in Europe. And Seni is just one of their brands. It's the Adult Incontinence Premium line. And we carry pretty much a full line, including a little bit of skincare with our other products. The real difference between our products and what's on the shelves today is that our products are 100% breathable, all soft nonwovens, no plastic in any of our products, meaning that the skin breathes. And that is very, very important, no matter what age you are, but is very important for our seniors, for their skin to be able to breathe. It also cuts down also reduces the risk of the UTIs, the pressure sores, and even falls, because they're not running in the middle of the night to rush to the bathroom, mainly because they are not having any leak issues, because our products also have inner leak guards, which prevent that from happening. So some of those medical things that I just mentioned can be hospital admissions, which can be very, very bad news for everybody involved, whether they're at home or if they're in a skilled nursing facility, that it can get very costly. So our products help to reduce all of that. And it also helps them sleep through the night peacefully, which is very important, because especially with people with dementia and Alzheimer's, they are able to wake up a little bit more alert. They're happy, they feel dry. I could go on and on, Laurie. The caregivers, less changing sheets in the morning and all kinds of things like that. So they're great products.
Well, I just think, and this is a little off topic, but just to kind of give an example, I think of going, through hot flashes and just how uncomfortable that is waking up. And that's not sitting in urine. And that just feels so much better than to have to deal with any of that, and just cuts down on the to-dos of what has to happen in the day. And then if you're not capable of doing it yourself, it's got to just be a horrible feeling to have that added into your day. Deanna, anything that you wanted to add regarding your products?
I'll just add that our company's philosophy is really focused on providing a person-centered approach to care, and providing a person-centered approach to care on the proactive side versus the reactive side. So our philosophy, our mission is to share with folks and better educate, hey, if you happen to be incontinent, for starters, let's try to improve continence. In a perfect world, we would have nobody being incontinent, and Laurie and I would be working in other avenues within our own company. But if you are incontinent, let's take a proactive approach. Wear good products, fully breathable, as Laurie mentioned, super absorbent, to get them through the night to have that good restorative sleep, which ripples out into positive benefits. Use good skincare. Our skincare line is based on the proactive. Use good quality wipes. When you put that together, you have better outcomes. And then I'll just add, our company also adds the educational component of, you can have a terrific product. And I always say, I compare it to a great camera. If it has, you've got a great camera, but you need a great photographer to really drive that point home of a great overall picture. So I compare caregivers to, they can be great photographers when we help them train on how to raise those inner leak guards so they work effectively. And so we do a lot of education. You put a good product together with great education, better outcomes for people.
And then add on that compassionate care as a whole, and bingo, you got a winner product there and a winner service. Beth and Nikki, I want to, just have you both tell a little bit more about yourselves and, what areas you cover, because Right at Home's a big company. So Beth, do you want to start?
Sure. So my background was actually as an elder care attorney, and then I decided to take that knowledge and start a business. So my children were pretty young, 2, 3, and 4, and I gave up practicing law and started Right at Home. So one of the earlier franchisees. So I originally owned Middlesex County in New Jersey, and over the years I've purchased Northern Monmouth County and Mercer County. So I own a pretty large territory in central New Jersey.
Wonderful. Thank you. Nikki, how about you?
So our office is in Central Florida. We've been open for a little over 7 years now. So we cover Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties. And as I mentioned, we started this business really because both my husband and my grandmother, we both had them age in place in our prospective parents' homes and helped them through that process. So it really touched home for us to have people age in place in our life and help them just feel, their best self as long as they can.
Okay, wonderful. Beth, I'm going to go to you first on this, then I'll go back to Nikki, because I just think that there's so much to cover here. But what are some of the challenges that you saw your professional caregivers having in terms of giving care in a home setting relating to incontinence issues?
Well, I mean, everything that Laurie said, I would reiterate in reverse, that we were having problems with people having back problems, changing someone all the time, and spending the entire time that you were with a client taking care of changing them and cleaning them up and cleaning the sheets, and not even having that much time, to address other issues or spend quality time cooking and cleaning, and also just being a companion to the client, focusing on our person-centered care approach to caregiving. So I was proactively looking for something that would help, and I met Laurie. It was, I put out the message, and and Laurie was there with an amazing product that I can go into all of the details that Laurie said regarding, skin breakdown and UTIs and, having less stress on the caregiver and changing the sheets. And it's aggravating also to be changing sheets all the time and changing a person and not really being able to engage otherwise. And the key word from my clients' mouths is life-changing. So, that right there tells you, that this is a phenomenal product. We've had clients not need overnight care in addition to live-in care or at all, because the client would be dry all night. It was so helpful with dementia clients, being that you're mentioning dementia early on, that they're not irritated because they can sleep through the night. You don't have to wake them up and change them because you're afraid about that, them having a rash or getting a skin breakdown, and they can just sleep through the night peacefully. And in the morning they can be changed, and you don't have to change all the sheets as well. It's just a completely different experience. And you wouldn't really think that would be because of a brief or, a pull-up or a diaper. I've never been so excited about incontinence care in my life. It's it's something we talk about all the time now. And it really, truly, truly is life-changing for our clients, for our caregivers, and for us too, as an agency. Everyone that we go into a new home or we're starting to talk about care, we're asking about their incontinence level. And Laurie and Deanna are amazing in giving us free samples for everyone to try, because it's hard enough for somebody to sign up for care. It's hard to sell them a product at that moment as well, to add on to, their stress and trying to get all of the care needs in place. So, Laurie and Deanna will ship the product directly to the client's home, let them try it out, and then we can reach out a week later and say, how is it going with this product? And then introduce the bundled care to them, and, they're all interested. And they don't think at first a product would make such a difference in their life. They don't think, without naming other names, they don't think that there's any difference between X, Y, or Z until you really go in and show it to them. And again, just amazing, amazing, life-changing, and phenomenal partners with Seni. It's truly a great professional partnership.
Well, you're kind of switching in terms of what you do without it being said, from crisis cleanup to a calm, comfortable connection that's compassionate, and you're really going to be able to meet their daily needs instead of the things they really wanted you to do aren't getting done because you're cleaning the floor and the bed and the clothes and throwing them in the shower. And, it's like, well, there goes the time. I mean, that's really, really time consuming. Nikki, how about you? What have you seen both with your families and your professional caregivers that have been some of the challenges when you first start?
I think Beth really nailed all of them. You've got the bedbound clients that are harder on the caregiver's back. You've got the those people with dementia or any other behaviors that it's challenging you don't want them to become more irritated. So anything you can be more proactive with to help them, to feel better, to feel more comfortable, to feel more confident. Really, especially even when you're first starting to become incontinent, you really want to hide that, of course, too. So it goes through all the stages, same as our home care. You go from companion care through personal care, right? So it goes from in the very beginning to end of life. And as you're progressing, you want to make sure that you're being as proactive as possible. So any kind of bed sores we can avoid, or any kind of behaviors we can avoid, it really is a challenge for those caregivers. As Beth was mentioning, we're busy trying to bond with that client, and here you are just busy being the housekeeping side of things, trying to stay ahead of that. And if anyone can get a good night's sleep out of the deal, great. Not really for the caregiver necessarily, but for the family caregiver. You want those people to have a good night's sleep. You want the client to have a good night's sleep. You want to make sure that everyone is being their best self.
Well, the other thing that comes to mind, because I hear this all the time, is I don't want anybody in my house. I don't want any, we're doing okay. There's that whole denial, and yet there's that grief process that they're going through, that they're trying to pretend they're not going through. And, if you come in their minds, looking down at them and going, well, now you need this product right away. I mean, I remember from my real estate days, they're looking at, you're doing add-ons. You're all about the money. You're just going to cost me more money. I didn't want to spend it to have you come out, first of all. And now you want me to spend even more money. I mean, it's just that kind of mentality. So when you come in with this fresh kind of observing look and then give them something free, to try first, you're really going from not looking down at them to really lifting them up and giving yourself time to really be that friend, be somebody that they're comfortable and confident in terms of knowing what the needs are. Because I'm sure most of them think, I am the only one going through this, because that's, I think, a real normal thing for individuals to do, even though, over coffee with their friends, ladies might be talking about it, but they're also a lot of times drinking a lot less coffee because they don't want to have to be running to the bathroom anymore either. So habits are changing throughout all of that. So thanks for sharing that. So Deanna, what do you feel like home care agencies nationwide, how is this going to ripple through the industry and help them and their clients?
I guess our hope is that through awareness and the way that I think of it, Laurie, is, and you had mentioned it, I think, at the beginning of the show, incontinence products is not a new industry. Incontinence is not new. I do think our demographic is growing. But Seni products are fairly new, and the features of Seni products are fairly new. But I do hope through home care agencies, the offering of a program, people being able to try samples, does become a standard best practice, because a simple change in a product to a good, high quality product, we know at some level will provide better outcomes, and those better outcomes will lead to those folks being able to stay in place. I'll just share a real quick story. My mother-in-law lived with her sister, my husband's aunt, for several years up in New England. And my husband's aunt passed away. I think it's been 2 years now, but such the same story. She was helping her sister to the bathroom, and my mother-in-law is a petite woman, and they fell together, and that led to ugly impact, ugly outcomes type of things from the fall. She didn't pass from that, but for both of them. And so, when you talk about people being able to sleep through the night uninterrupted, knock it up, reduce those falls, that all ripples out. Well, if we can keep people aging longer in home, in place, healthier, happier, long, that's a big deal for everybody, not just primarily, we're all concerned with that particular client, with that person, but that, again, I'm big into the ripple effects. That ripples out to the adult children, that ripples out to the grandchildren, being able to spend more time and visit grandma or grandpa in their home. There are just wonderful things. So the hope for our company, and you bring up a good point, nobody wants to be sold anything. One of the things that Laurie and my teammates and others do, and we've approached Beth and Nikki with the same approaches, we say, breathe, we're not trying to sell you anything. Just please, if you have a client that you're aware, that your caregiver's aware, that's having some challenges with the sheets being wet, the uncomfortableness, the incontinence in general, just offer, would you like to try this? And go from there. That's a very different model than what traditionally has been in our country of going to a big box store, looking at a product, not really having a lot of education behind it and having it be viewed as a disposable commodity. So kind of full circle back to your question, our hope is that incontinence is not new. Incontinence products are not new. Seni products are fairly new to the market. Full breathability is huge. We can change things now. And that's why I think Laurie and myself, Nikki, Beth, yourself, Laurie, it's almost like being pioneers down this new path. When the path has kind of been there, we're just changing paths a little bit to say, think about it. And if we can, within the home care industry, create another service that becomes a best practice for clients, in my opinion, that's changing. That's life changing for those people involved, for the home care agency, for everybody. we don't see a negative to it. We always rack our brains a little bit saying, okay, if we're going to propose something, play devil's advocate. Where's the negative? What's we just don't see it. And then we talk with people and we find I mean, Beth, Laurie and I are up in New Jersey, a nice breakfast place. We were going for hours talking about incontinence. Like, who would have thought, right? But it's not the incontinence products itself. It's the improvement in the quality of life, in my opinion, of what ripples out.
Well, and that's the huge difference that's what's pushing the product. It's not the dollar, it really is the quality of life and the ease. And, I even think from a cost factor, if someone needs care and they're spending all this time kind of in this crisis cleanup mode and other things still need to be done, then a family's going to spend even more money with home care when they don't want to spend it to begin with. And you're giving them back that quality of life, not only to the individual, but to the professional caregivers. I mean, that's got to change how they feel coming to work, because nobody wants that job. I mean, realistically, that's not like, oh yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. It's just not. And then that ripples back, Deanna, like you said, to the family. They feel more peaceful because there's more dignity. There's less likelihood of all these other medical conditions with these pressure sores or, getting septic through them or, all kinds of different things. And then the community at large benefits as well too, because people can go out more. They feel more comfortable being able to make a presence. And then I was thinking in terms of purchasing as well. You go to the drugstore, that's typically where a family would go to make a purchase. And like everything, there's 10 zillion of them, but there's a stigma standing in that section, reading everything and looking. It's not like going to the cereal aisle, where you can walk up and down and you're just in somebody's way, who wants to get by. But, you really are removing that stigma and helping people get a good fit, because you don't know what you don't know. So you don't know what size or how to measure or, what are these terms they're talking about? All of those things, I think, just wrap into that whole package of quality of life that you're all working to give back to the client. Laurie, anything that you wanted to add as far as how you see this spreading and adopting?
Well, as far as the continence care program that we offer to these home care agencies, I think one of the biggest parts of this, and Beth, please chime in if you think of something. I think one of the biggest things that is such a win-win again for everyone involved is that it takes the work off of the children's plate. So when they're going out and sometimes they're in a panic because dad doesn't have enough incontinence products to get them through the next 48 hours. Now it's pressure cooker situation, run to Target's out of that size, get it on Amazon. Amazon's going to take a few days to get it in or whatever. It just takes all that away from them to where it's ordered from the home care agency. It's taken care of. It's, either the caregiver's bringing it in the home or it's delivered to their doorstep, bi-weekly or weekly, whatever they need. And they're never running out. And the kids don't have to worry about that part. They can instead spend their time visiting with the parents. And I just think that's a huge, weight that's been lifted for these children. And we hear it often. It's the things that I've been hearing is, where did the smell go? Like, we tried Seni and I can't even believe it. Where did the smell go? The other thing I hear is mom and dad are not going through as many products as they used to. Well, that's because they're not using as much of the Seni. So because our products are so absorbent. So things like that, it's these testimonials that are coming around all the time. And it's great. It's that brand awareness is really getting out there. And again, it's like Beth said, it's a game changer. It's life-changing for people. And that's huge. It's great to work for a company that we can say that we're helping people.
Wonderful. Nikki, for you as a business owner, what was attractive about the continence care program that Seni Products brings? You know, we've kind of talked a lot about the emotional side and the dignity and the ease of doing the job, but what else was attractive to you?
Well, we kind of have similar missions in regards to personal centered care. You know, everything we're doing is trying to work around what works best for the family. So if the adult daughter lives in New York and we're here in Florida, we're her eyes and ears, we're the one probably sharing with her that there's been a change in condition with her dad and saying, hey, he's incontinent now. We need to start doing something differently. So there's a lot to do with that in regards to our client care team. We've got a supervisor that goes out and also catches changes of condition. So when we first started talking about getting incontinence program together, it sounded like another product to sell, you know, and then we got nervous with that. But once we started rolling it out, we realized we have small ALFs that we work with that are finally sleeping through the night when they have their people able to not leak in the middle of the night. And then they wake up and they don't have sheets to change and they're just so much less stressed. And then same for the families at home. And it really just ripple affected all the feedback we were getting, really made us also excited to say, hey, you know, we really need to get our client care team and our field supervisors and our caregivers understanding how this works and what the difference is. And as we also said, you know, not to have that family have to stay in that grocery store standing there looking for, I don't know what my dad's going to wear, you know, and being the daughter, you don't really want to even have that conversation. That's not, you know, so let the professionals do it and let them handle that kind of awkward conversation, because that's really what we're supposed to do.
Well, it really is preserving the family's relationships, and because so many times I've heard families say, you know, I don't want to give my mom or dad a shower, or you know, let alone have to be cleaning them up after an accident. You know, that's a really big shift, and you know, some don't have a problem, but many do. And you know, when there's illness, that's a big enough shift in and of itself, you know, to deal with without having added impact of taking another layer of a relationship away or shifting it greatly. One of the things I would think that you run into a lot, Nikki, probably, you know, when you walk into a home where someone's having issues, is bed sores, rashes, the smell, the UTIs. And there's so often, I mean, I remember going to schools and have the kids describe an elderly person, and every now and then they would say an odor, or they would mention the towels on the couch, plastic on the furniture. You know, it was different, and they didn't always know what the cause of that was, but that it was really, really different. Or they didn't like to sit down because they didn't know if it was going to be wet or not. And how do you address that? I mean, those are everyday things that people go through and really struggle with, where it sounds like this product really wicks the moisture away and really helps with that. In terms of kind of some of these other things like the bed sores and the UTIs, Nikki, do you see some families just seeing this huge difference? Like, oh my gosh, we don't have to worry about this anymore. Like this has been haunting us for a long time.
Yeah, giving lots of extra peace of mind and helping. You know, it's one of those things that's hard to tell you what the outcome is, because now the outcome's just positive. You know, you don't really hear all those, oh, my dad's having another UTI, you know, or my mom is having, you know, fell because she was trying to run to the bathroom. So instead, you're not hearing the negative as much anymore. Would really be the way to get our outcome from it in some ways. But yes, the bed sores have been reduced. And, you know, we're happy to spread the word, as we have been, you know, with our other resources, and just being a resource to the community to let them know that this great product's out there. And it's so easy to purchase and to get samples, and you guys are great to work with.
Wonderful. Beth, anything you want to add on that from kind of a business side, some of the differences that you've seen?
Sure. I mean, I agree with everything that Nikki was saying, but just in addition, people are stressed, people have little time. So when a daughter is going to visit her mom, her dad, the last thing she wants to do is have to run out to Walmart or Target to buy incontinence products. So having a program that we can offer is tremendous. And, my motto has always been, where we want to add life to years. We can't add years to life, but we could add life to years. And now your family can spend time caring about you while we care for you. And this just takes all that stress off of them. They don't have to worry about going out to buy the product. It comes on a subscription basis. If you need to change something in there, you don't need creams this month or whatnot, we can take that out of the package. But, it's just an automatic that it's going to be there. It's nothing you have to worry about anymore. It's like the stitch fit of incontinence,
Sweet. That's nice. Have you noticed a difference in your professional caregivers' comments they've made, or just how they feel about doing their job?
Absolutely. Sometimes, they wouldn't want to accept the assignment. It's too difficult. People want to work, they have heart, they are in this business because they're caring, but sometimes some of these, clients with, severe incontinence, it's a difficult assignment and they don't necessarily want to take it. And then on the other hand, you have clients who would want to go out and they were afraid to go out because they don't want to smell, they don't want to have an accident, they're embarrassed, and their whole socialization has changed. So now you have a caregiver who has a great product that can, give this client that extra boost of confidence, and they can go out to lunch and enjoy life together. See friends. It's dramatically changing, a day in the life.
Yeah, on both sides, all the way. And then again, ripples out to the family of, how nice to see mom or dad being able to get out, or their spouse or whatever it is, but enjoying life again. I mean, that weighs heavy on families' minds. And how do you deal with that? How do you cope with that in this busy world and this chaoticness of COVID? Can you go out? Can't you go out? What's going on? You want to take advantage of those moments, when you can. How about you, Nikki? Anything to add on that?
Yeah, we had one client that comes to mind that she was using a different brand, and every 30 minutes she asked the caregiver to change her because she kept thinking she was wet, and she wasn't necessarily wet, but maybe more sweaty. But it was really hard to really pinpoint the difference at this stage, but she was mobile and everything. And so literally the caregivers, no one wanted to keep taking this case because she was so stressful to deal with in this one regard. And we switched her to Seni, and she's just a regular person in regards to, yes, she just gets changed regularly, but not this every 30, she's not a burden on that person's back or stressing them out or focusing the entire shift in that particular case, on incontinence. So it is definitely a game changer.
Well, and for a product to be able to remove that anxiety for somebody, I mean, just think of feeling that way all day long. Does it show? Am I leaking? That's got to be horrible. And I think sometimes we forget how icky that must be. How you're always on guard. You're afraid someone's going to catch, your little secret. And this way, it doesn't have to be anymore. The freedom that the product is giving people, and the changing of relationships, and just the moods on everybody's part. I mean, all of that stuff just ripples through. Beth, are you seeing, as far as outcomes themselves, in terms of quality and assessment, are you seeing things trackable in that sense?
We are. Our nurses are seeing an absolute difference in what they're tracking as far as UTI, skin breakdown, skin irritation, falls. It literally is due to this product.
Wow. That's a big statement on so many levels, because people just don't think all of those things can come from a little incontinence that a lot of times isn't so little, but that's how it's viewed. Nikki, anything you want to add on that?
there's been a significant reduction in complaints in all those areas. So it's just been so nice to see, and just so many thank yous in general from our clients that are using the products. It's really nice. It's very rewarding.
Wow. Well, anytime you can give dignity back, I mean, that's probably one of the best gifts you can give anybody. And at such an intimate time in their life, where they're feeling shut down, kind of locked in and stigmatized. I mean, you've opened up all of those doors for them. And then giving them a reliable source to be able to lean on. So if something does change, maybe they are having an issue, maybe they're more open about talking about it before it becomes a really super big issue, or maybe products need to adjust. I would imagine over time, sometimes that happens if someone's losing weight or gaining weight, or they're taking more in, and so they're going to let more out, and adjusting that for times of day as well. I just think it's a wonderful program that you guys are all working on together. Anything that you want to add, Deanna?
I guess I just want to share my gratefulness, and I'm sure Laurie's gratefulness and our team's gratefulness for good partners, because in addition to the continence care program, we've reviewed the benefits, and I think it's awesome what the testimonies and all that stuff. But I think too, the other whole big part of this that we talk about is, having good resources. And I think Beth, Nikki, our other partner, I think everybody in senior living, every elder should have some type of advocate that's out there for them. Incontinence is a big part of that. And then the additional, and we've learned from each other through this program, other additional avenues where Beth could share stories, Nikki, I could share stories, Laurie could share stories, where we're just good partners at the end of the day, trying to help people. And the continence care program is one that directly ties us together. But I'm just grateful for the partnerships. There's just so much value out there. And again, my opinion is we're just taking a different path to raise awareness, that a little product can reduce readmissions. I know incontinence, I don't think statistically incontinence has ever been attributed to death directly, but articles that you read out there, it can lead to the ugly outcomes that can cause that. So if we can reduce that as a whole team across the country, that's huge. That is huge. And if that's my mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, that's really huge. That hits home with me. So that's my 2 cents. Just very grateful that we have folks like Nikki and Beth and others out there offering the program within the home care industry right now.
Laurie, anything you want to add on to in terms of how Seni's program can help the home care agencies themselves and their clients?
Well, I think everybody hit that nail today. That's for sure. When it comes to Seni products, I appreciate Beth so much. She knows this. She was one of the first people I met when I moved up here, and we had a meeting almost the next day. And I sat down with her and her team, and we went over the Seni line. And I love when we partner with people who get it immediately. And Beth is one of those people, as well as her team. They all got it immediately, and they said, wow, what a difference this is going to make. And they couldn't wait to get started with the program. We talked about all these benefits that ultimately came true, helping those caregivers, less work on their part, less, reduce that risk of pulling a shoulder from changing the sheets every day. Let's take down all the risks that we can. So take down the risk of the client using the products. Let's take down the risk on those caregivers, because they're doing so much work as it is. Let's give them the sleep that they need if they're a live-in person. And like Beth said, which I love to hear this, there's no need for that additional caregiver. If you have somebody that's getting their 8 hours and they're a live-in, the patient's getting their 8 hours and everyone's happy. Everybody wakes up and they're good to go and they start their day. So yeah, I appreciate Beth very, very much.
I would imagine just removing having to deal with some of the kind of major crisis that can happen with incontinence, that would help in terms of even caregiver shortages. I mean, you had mentioned earlier that I don't really want to work with this client so much anymore, and they get to pick and choose because things are tight out there in terms of, employees and finding matches and stuff. Nikki, do you want to speak to that at all?
Sure, absolutely. It's true. There's, there's been a caregiver crisis for a long time. I don't think that we really felt it until the pandemic. We've been great at staying ahead of it as an agency by just spending more of our resources towards recruiting and training and staying, as far ahead as possible. However, the caregivers are looking for easier cases if they can. They're also aging, themselves, and it's a hard job in general. So no matter how young they are or how old they are and how much experience they've had, if you give them a choice between a client that is, an easy peasy case versus someone who they're going to be up with all night changing and, being concerned with, or someone who just constantly feels wet, like that lady I was talking about earlier, that has that stress level already walking into it, that, they want to avoid those stressful cases. They all have really thick skin. I'll tell you, those caregivers are great people, and they'll spend the time to train the family caregiver as well if you give them the chance. But the crisis of staffing these days in general, all across the world, it feels like in every single, industry, it's a hard thing to be a caregiver right now. And you must have that passion and, that certain kind of compassion towards people and helping them through life to do that job. So yeah, any tools we can put in their toolbox, I'm happy to give to them.
Well, yeah, and I think when anybody is evaluating a job, you're kind of looking at work conditions, and that changes. That just kind of flips that like a pancake, and so that's pretty cool. Beth, anything that you want to add on that?
Sure. I was actually just thinking, on the one hand, you have a better product, so we don't need an overnight caregiver. So as a business owner, you think, oh, I'm losing 8 hours a night, 7 days a week, and I'm losing that income. But in reality, you're not, because you're able to use that caregiver now on another assignment where you may have had a caregiver shortage. So you're still able to put that caregiver to work. And on the client side, they're saving money, and they will ultimately be a client longer because they can afford to pay for care. So I think it's a win-win all around. And you wouldn't think that an incontinence product is what put these, this chain in play. But it's true.
When you have happy customers, they're your best referral by far. Word of mouth goes better than any advertising you can do. Deanna, anything that you wanted to add as far as the, caregiver shortage, anything that we missed?
I'll just say with our products, we pride ourselves that if the person is in the right product, the right style, the right fit, brand to brand to brand, product sizing does vary. We have all types of help, flyers, resources to get the product the right size for the person that needs it. But when you reduce, for someone that may have been being changed 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or more times within a 24-hour period, and you can reduce that 3 to 4 times, that's less risk of shoulder injury for caregivers. That's less risk of back injury, which is the number 1 and 2 reason why people go out on workers' comp for caregivers, from my understanding. Nikki, Beth, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I understand it to be in the industry. Those are big reasons why they go out. So reducing risk, who would have thought, right, from an incontinence product can help that caregiver staffing shortage as another avenue in addition to what Beth and Nikki have shared about urine odor. Someone's not going to want to work in a home that unfortunately has an odor every day. We're all human, and we can bring that risk down. So that's where I think it helps out with the caregiver staffing shortage immensely. A big deal to be able to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 3 to 4 a day. That's big. That's huge.
Wonderful. Laurie, anything that we missed?
I don't think so. I think everybody is very knowledgeable about all this topic. So I'm thrilled to hear Beth and Nikki speak to it so professionally. I love it.
Great. Well, we better give you some contact information because they can help you. So for Seni, you can go to their website, Seni, SENI-USA.com. Their second website, the international one, kind of the mothership, is TZMO-global.com. And you can always reach out to Deanna directly at DEANNA dot, and her last name is V as in Victor, IGLIOTTA at TZMOUSA.com.
And let me give you my my phone number, 850-503-7534.
Wonderful. And then for Nikki with Right at Home Orlando, you can reach her by her phone number at 407-757-0981, or you can go directly to their website, which is seniorcareorlando.com. And you can also email her at info@seniorcareorlando.com. And then for Beth, which is Right at Home up in New Jersey, you can go to their website, which is rahcentral.com. And a phone number would be 732-967-0900. And you can email Beth at rahcentral.com. Well, ladies, this has just been such an uplifting conversation. Who would have thought, talking about incontinence, that people would be smiling and feeling happy and feeling empowered. And I'm hoping that that's what we did for our audience as well. There's help out there. There's great products. There's wonderful services. People are here. All you have to do is reach out. So as always, don't keep these nuggets to yourself. Like, click, and share. Pass this information along. It can be life-changing, not only for you and a loved one, but a friend or a colleague. We are going to hear from the All's authors, and we will catch you next time. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye now.
Hello, podcast listener. If you're caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's or dementia, you'll want to check out All's Authors, the global community of authors writing about Alzheimer's and dementia from personal experience. We have the most comprehensive collection of hundreds of carefully vetted books and blogs covering all types of dementia and caring situations. Our authors' personal stories and painfully learned lessons can help you on your own journey. We also offer a fabulous podcast called Untangling Alzheimer's and Dementia, which you can find on any of your podcast platforms. Remember, you are not alone. One can sing a lonely song, but we chose to form a choir and create harmony. Find us at allsauthors.com.